Good evening. Today we are joined by a special personality. Her name is Dr. Sujatha, but many of you wouldn't know her by this name. Her screen name was Soumya. And she has done some movies in Malayalam which had made its mark. Many of you will remember the grand song Ambalappuzhai Unni Kannanoduni in the movie Advaitam. Well, she's the actress in that. And today she is joining after she came to know about what the Hema Commission has done to the Malayalam film industry and the ripple effect of it. Today she has come forward bravely to speak about her experience and importantly, why she had left the industry quite fast also. So thank you so much, Dr. Sujatha, for speaking to Republic. When you search about you in Wikipedia, your filmography is hardly seen. It's very clear that after some fantastic movies, a quick stint, you immediately left. So obvious question would be, what made you leave the industry abruptly?
So ever since I joined, because I had no exposure to films at all in the industry, I'd watched films. Ever since I joined, I had heard a lot of filth from day one. And I was very young. I was just out of I was 18, just had turned 18 when I started. So it was a scary place. And during my shoot, since we're talking about the Malayalam film industry, when I was in Kerala shooting, I found out that the people who stayed in the hotel, the director and the actors and everybody, would summon junior artists and hairdressers to their rooms at all times of night. That was shocking for me. And then some other incidents of really very disrespectful behavior on the sets throughout the shooting, different movies, made me realize that I wasn't a good fit for this place. And I didn't want to go through with this. And I was studying in college. So that gave me a good reason to exit quickly.
You just said that many junior artists were being summoned to these rooms and you have witnessed it. Is that right?
I didn't witness it, but I was informed that was happening. I knew it was happening, and we were all in the same hotel. So that was very terrifying for a young girl who had never been exposed to anything like this.
And so this was a primary reason. You were shocked and disgusted, but by what was informed, and that was
not the primary reason. Not the primary reason. So this happened, that made me feel very unsafe on the sets. And then I remember telling my close friend at that time that during the shoot, so during the rehearsal takes, everything would look a certain way. During the final take, sometimes, for example, there was a movie shoot in which we were having a fight sequence, and the girl, me, the heroine, was being pulled and pushed by all these men. And we practiced it, we rehearsed it. And then when it came to final take, the villain of the movie, he had pan in his mouth. And I had no idea. And out of the blue, he spat it entirely on my face during the final take. So my sense was they already knew. They had talked about how it would go. They never informed me. So the shock of that incident, I couldn't do anything about it. Another incident in the song that you were talking about, there is a Tulaharam sequence, right? So they made me sit on it, and it is interesting that in the set, so you have a set creator, they do all this in the temple, it broke, and in front of a crowd of, I don't know how many thousands of people, I fell, right? And I was just thinking, I could almost see them jeering, the assistant directors. There was a smile on one of their faces, right? And then they fixed it, and then it was fine. And I remember even as an 18-year-old thinking, if this had been Jairam, my co-star, would they have got away with this? So disrespectful behavior. And I told a friend of mine that when I was doing a song sequence with a hero, in the last minute, the hug would be so tight and I would be putting my hand in front because I was so uncomfortable with this man. So experiences like that made me leave.
You began your career at the age of 18 and you already faced so many bitter experiences. But today, in this context, almost 3 decades, the Hema Committee report has come out, and it has talking about rampant sexual abuse of women in the industry itself. So, did you have to go through something like this of an abuse within the industry itself, that is the reason? Because we understand that you left everything, you packed your bags, you went to study in USA, and today you've taken a doctorate in human development and family planning. So you're a
Family
doctorate in
science.
family science. So did you go through any similar experience?
Yes.
And
Yes, I did.
if you are comfortable, would you like to talk about it?
Sure. Yes. Before I did Malayalam movies, I did a Tamil movie, and I received this offer because I was doing theater in college at that point. So I received a role. I went for a screen test. I fought my mother to go because she was very anti movies. I went, and this was a very famous actress, and her husband. And I remember feeling very disgusted when I first met him, did not like the feeling, said no, came back. But they convinced my father, saying they had paid so much money to record songs with me in mind. After one meeting with me, they said, I think this was a lie. And they've made me feel very guilty for having said no. So I went ahead and agreed to do this movie, despite not wanting to. He treated me pretty poorly during the first half of the shoot schedule because I had clearly said I don't want to work with him. She was listed as director of the movie, and she told me only she would interact with me, but throughout it was him who was directing the movie. And he gave me the silent, angry treatment. And then gradually, because I was taught to be a good student, a listener, an obedient child, and this man was angry with me. That created this sense of guilt in me, and I tried to appease him. I was very good on set, and I behaved myself, and gradually he deigned to be nicer to me, and they treated me as their family. And they told me I was like her daughter who had left the house because she had accused the same man of rape. So they treated me like that daughter. Now she said I looked like her daughter, and she said I miss my daughter. And then we became this fake family. And I was 18, but more like a 12-year-old, psychologically very sheltered, went to a girls' school. I had never engaged in any romantic relationship with any guy before, right? Now, I had to go for dance rehearsals to their house after the first schedule. And one of those days when she wasn't around, this man reached forward, tells me I love you, and he kisses me. He's nearly 40 years old. I'm 18. I have said no to many boys in college, but this shocked me. I froze, didn't know what to do. I didn't tell anybody. I was so ashamed that people would judge me because I had done something wrong. Never spoke about it. Didn't want to get out of the movie because, again, I'm going to create a big furor if I get out of a movie. So I continued going for rehearsals, and they were mentoring me, right? Teaching me even the dialect. I wasn't so good at speaking Tamil. And then he gradually upped the game. As every time his wife wasn't around, he would abuse me. He would touch me all over. And then one day he raped me. He forced himself on me because I had never had sex. So I pushed him away out of pain, and he got angry with me, and he forced himself on me. This continued for months, where they would treat me like their child. He would tell me I was his daughter, and also tell me he wanted to have a child with me because his wife wouldn't have a child with him. Confused mind, psychologically. I had college going for me, I was still studying and doing really well there. That kept my sanity. He isolated me from my family, spoke ill about my family, my friends, told me I have to listen to how they behave because I'm supposed to behave like an actress, not a student, not a girl. I was all alone and I froze. I did not tell anybody. And this continued for close to a year.
It's quite, it shakes my being itself when I hear this, even though this has happened 3 decades ago. And today you are ready to reveal your identity. I want to ask you, you describe it, but today, even now, you do not want to name this perpetrator, this disgusting human being. But you are ready to reveal your own identity. You're a survivor. May I know why? Why, ma'am?
Why I'm not willing to reveal his identity? I am, but to the police first. I do want to talk to the police about it and let the law take its course. I'm very happy with what's happening currently. All these years, there is a reason I did not feel safe enough to speak about this, right? Even though that man enslaved me, I was his sex slave. That's what I was. And I have not, even to my own family, it took me 20 years to talk about this because of the shame that I experienced, because I thought I was the bad one. So if our society has taught women and maybe even boys and men to feel like they are the responsible ones, they are the victims, how do you expect me to just openly declare? I don't know what the repercussions will be. So my aunt, who is an actress and director in the film industry, Mrs. Lakshmi Ramakrishnan, she has guided me through this process. And I believe that it's going to be best for me to talk to the police first.
So you find that there is purpose in this. You kind of believe that the Hema Committee report and this special investigative team is going to result in an everlasting solution for safe workplace for women in the future. And am I reading you right when I say that is the purpose that you come forward with?
Oh, absolutely. I want to be a part of this movement and change for a lifetime. And I want to be clear that we redefine consent. That consent is not about in that moment, oh, very obviously a man who's a bad man comes and rapes you. It is people who are in authority, always in some position of authority, whether it's in your family, in your workplace, it doesn't matter. We have been taught to fake respect all authority figures. We need to start seeing them as people. And it starts in the family. It starts in training our children to trust themselves. So this is a much bigger message than just what's going on currently. And for me, for the rest of my life, this is the message I'll pass on.
Some bits and pieces of revelations have come from, many of the junior artists, many artists have come forward. After seeing this, many women or people who have worked in industry, I'm not even talking about Malayalam film. Anybody who's watching this would want to come out and probably speak out. What is your message to those women who probably would have undergone the same kind of situation that you are in? What is it that you would expect them? Because you also have a doctorate in a field that is so close to human development. So what is it that you would want to tell those girls out there? Do they need to come out or do they need to hold it? What is it? What is the solution that you have come across for healing?
Ashwin, I'm not going to tell people what to do. Okay, they have to do what's comfortable with for themselves in their lives, in their situation. My situation is different. I have support now. I didn't have support before. So I'm not going to force anybody to talk about their situation, but I do want them to know. I'm speaking so that they know that this doesn't happen to only one kind of human being, somebody who comes from a village to the movie industry. It can happen to anybody. I was from an affluent family, well-educated. My parents were professionals, right? I was in a college. I was a smart student. It happened to me too. All my classmates have come to know. They are shocked today. They're all reaching out to me saying, we didn't know we were part of your life. So it can happen to anybody. It's not your fault. And even if at that point, when the perpetrator was abusing you and your body looked like it gave consent because the body responds on its own, but your brain is frozen, your body will have its responses because to touch, if you've not been touched before, that doesn't mean you're giving consent. That just means body is doing its thing and you can't stop it. And the man will take that as consent, or a perpetrator, anybody. So we all need to be more educated about what consent means, what is coercion, what is rape. So that's my message to everybody. Let's talk about this more.
Talk about it more. And you're ready to discuss in detail to the SIT. It's this whole whole trauma that you had to go through, your experience. You're ready to reveal it only to them. Am I right?
Yes.
It's been difficult, to question or make more questions, but we will leave it at this at the moment. But we hope that this interview becomes a fulcrum for transformation, and it brings more solace to you, and also that revolution happens in the industry itself, so that this kind of attitude changes and women are more safe at their workplace wherever they are. It's an absolute honor to speak to you. And thank you so much for sharing your time, and absolutely brave of you to come forward and speak to us. Thank you once again, Dr. Sujatha. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwin. Appreciate it.